This is the plaintiff, Gaylord Cecil Young. He says he rents a room in the house the defendant owns and has been put through vicious psychological and emotional torture because she wants him out and he won't go. He's also suffered health issues and physical pain due to the living conditions in the house, and he's here invoking his tenant rights and suing for the $5,000 he's owed. This is the defendant, Zoe Lead. She says the plaintiff's a very strange man who makes her uncomfortable every time she visits the property. He takes pictures of her rear end and even practices witchcraft. The only reason she's being sued today is because the plaintiff found out eviction proceedings are underway and he's vengeful. Owe him $5,000? Ah! She's accused of bad landlording.
All parties, please use your right hand. Be seated. Come to order, please. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Gaylord Cecil Young, sir, you are suing Zoe Lead, Jonathan Lead, and Agnes Lead. Zoe, you have power of attorney for everybody?
Yes.
And they are your what?
Jonathan Lead is my father, and Agnes Lead is my grandmother. They're both sick.
Okay, for $5,000 for pain and suffering, psychological and emotional torture, and physical pain due to living conditions. These are your landlords. Tell me what's going on. Tell me what happened. You lived there? How long have you lived there?
I've lived there for 8 years.
Okay.
All of a sudden, the landlady, Agnes, or Rosalind died. Then I was asked to immediately leave with no...
Are you on a month-to-month or are you on a year-long tenancy?
I'm month-to-month.
Okay.
But due to being disabled and not have worked for a year, I was completely out of work, can't work, doing physical therapy a few times a week, actually.
What happened to you?
I worked at a place where I had sustained several wrist injuries, shoulder injuries.
Okay.
I'm basically...
Do you have a lawsuit? Do you have a workers' comp case?
The workers' comp case is settled and over.
Okay.
But I'm still suffering physically from those issues.
Okay, but did you? Okay, so they told you you can't stay here. Do you know why they told you that?
I was originally told that they just didn't like me and thought that I was a devil worshiper. Thought they were just going off of rumors and just, you know, crazy stuff from people.
What did they actually tell you? That's what they told you?
Yes, I've been told that they think...
No, not you've been told by other people. What did they tell you when they said you can't stay here?
That they want, that at this point there was a holdover, that they just wanted the place. That there was no reason, they just want the place.
Okay, they just said, we want you out. All right, and then what happens?
I sent them letters, information to my mental state. I had a therapist write a letter stating that I have an emotional support animal and that I also need my emotional support animal, and that it would be very...
What kind of animal?
A cat.
Okay.
That it would be very...
How many cats do you have?
Just one.
Okay.
And
all right. So what happens? They tell you they want you out. Do they file an eviction?
No. The first thing they did was they put up fake foreclosure notices around to try to get everybody out, and we were told
everybody,
we had to
or
go.
they were picking on you because they thought you were a devil worshiper?
Everybody, but then I've specifically heard her knock on my door, tell me I have to go, but then tell the person next door that they don't have to go. But she's saying that it's a whole thing that everybody has to go, but no, you don't have to go.
Ah, here's a foreclosure sign, but it's not really
Right.
a foreclosure.
Right.
So they're picking on you.
Right.
All right, so go on.
So then July comes around, July 16th comes around, electricity goes off for 2.5 weeks.
In the entire building?
Yeah, just our floor. Just specifically our floor, our side that I live in. So she put the lights out. And then I've got photographs of black mold that they refuse, that I've requested to have the repairs done in the bathroom, the repairs done in the sink. The sink was stopped up to where we don't know if this is septic water. We don't know what's going on. The conditions physically require me to constantly bend over in the most awkward ways to wash dishes. The way the bathroom and the shower is set up.
Why are you washing dishes in the bathroom?
Because of the sink not being usable.
The sink doesn't function?
You can't use the sink because the water's stopped up. So if you put water, it's just going to clog up and
So
flood
you wash your dishes in the bathtub?
everybody's washing their dishes in the bathtub.
When
Other
was the
people
first
are-
time a complaint was lodged about that? Was it before or after you got a notice of eviction?
Before, long time before, 2016.
Okay, let me see your first complaint. While you're looking for that, let me talk to you, Zoe. What's going on here?
Okay, so he was actually, we filed eviction against him because he hasn't paid rent in 3 years.
Really?
I swear to God.
Have you not paid rent in 3 years?
A year and a half. It's been a year and a half. I stopped paying the rent when they stopped taking
How
my
have you lived
rent.
for, the rest of us mere mortals have to pay rent. How have you gotten away with not paying rent for a year and a half or 3 years, either one, without getting evicted? When did you file the eviction?
Okay, so there was an eviction filed 2.5 years ago, and my father dropped it because there was another tenant that was causing a bigger issue, and we didn't have enough money to pay for multiple evictions.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so then the case that he's evicted for now has been going on for about a year.
No,
because-
you gotta be kidding me.
No.
Why is it taking a year?
So basically, every time we went to the housing tenant court, I went a few times with my dad, and he would say like he's special needs, or he would say he needs extra time to get a lawyer, and each time it was the same excuse, and they kept giving him time. And then when they finally gave him a stip, which I have the stip and I have the warrant as well.
The stipulation?
Yes, the stipulation.
And what does the stipulation say?
So basically, they gave him 6 months to vacate the yes.
Well, is the
They
judge
gave him-
going to pay the rent in those
They
6
gave
months?
him maximum time because he said that he had a mental disability. So they gave him until January 8th.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to sound insensitive, but I'm trying to understand why that gives you greater rights than the next guy.
I wish I knew.
No, the kindness is one thing. Kindness with someone else's wallet is another. Because I presume you guys have a mortgage to pay. So
An
the
expensive
judge
one.
was being very generous, or the hearing officer was being very generous with your wallet, your father's wallet,
My
your
grandmother.
grandmother's wallet, who's 91 and has her own problems.
Let's listen.
Similar to today, the first time the case was postponed is because he sent us a letter in the mail about 2 weeks later saying that he, because one of the issues was that he broke his lease, even though his lease has been broken for about 2 years, but he broke his lease by having multiple cats, black cats. And he told the court that he needed the cats because they were support animals, and then about 2-3 weeks later, we received a letter in the mail saying that they were certified as support animals about 4 or 5 days before we received the letter. Yes, so the situation started to escalate, and there was 2 incidents with harassment where basically I was visiting my grandmother, and
Does she live there?
Yes, it's my
Okay.
grandmother's house. I don't
Okay.
live with her. And she wasn't feeling well, and I went to visit her, and I looked out the window and I saw him taking pictures of my car. So I went outside and I was like, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Oh, you think you're gonna escape? You think you're gonna escape, but I got you now." So I was like, "You need to step away from my car." And it became very verbal. Neither of us touched each other, but it was very verbal till the point where other tenants came outside and started ganging up, and my father called the police, and the police came, and that's also on this paper, like the officers that were there and the complaint number, because when he spoke to the police as well, they told him he had to delete all the photos he had taken of both my car and me from the back.
You from the back or of your butt?
Specifically my butt. So he was taking
Like
pictures of me
zoomed in,
walking.
or-
I didn't see the photos, but the female police officer told me that the photos were mostly of me walking down the steps from the back, and some were like my lower back area. So I don't know if it's because he was trying to catch them quickly or if he purposely did that.
Okay, go on.
Yes, so the house is under foreclosure. We're working on it. And when
Why? It sounds like a big headache.
Yeah, it's under foreclosure because
Okay.
everyone, when my
'Cause nobody
aunt,
pays their rent.
When my aunt died, everyone decided it was a free-for-all and that they
Right.
were no longer going to pay rent.
Right.
So
that's what housing court has done to you. They have put you in foreclosure.
Yes, but with the Carnet issue, what it was is because it
With the
remained.
what issue?
Carnet is in the electricity.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right.
It remained in my aunt's name, and they found out my aunt was deceased. So even though it was paid, they cut
But
it
why
off.
just the part of the troublemakers? He says it was just the ones they deemed to
Because-
be troublemakers.
Because that's the rental unit. The other side that he thinks is a rental unit is technically the second floor, so it's under my grandmother's name. Basically, it's my grandmother.
It's everything that was under your
That's
aunt's name.
yes, my aunt only put her name on the side that was a rental where tenants were.
Okay.
So yeah.
So it's everybody. It's not just, according to you, every tenant then didn't have electricity?
Yes.
For how long?
About a week, because there was also a huge back pay that we had to like scrape together, and he had to borrow money from family and so on. And then when we paid it, someone complained that they thought the gas wasn't safe, so then Carnet Edison had to send an inspector before they could legally turn it back on. It became a whole thing because every day they were calling HPD. There were also instances where he had a air conditioner, and the air conditioner was chipping out the circuit breaker. So we had to pay an electrician to come and change certain wirings to keep up with the amount of current that his air conditioner was pulling. And I know it was him because he's the only tenant that had an air conditioner at the time.
Okay, can I ask you a question? Did you guys ever accuse him of being a Satan worshiper and that's why you wanted him out or any such thing? Or is
Okay, so the young lady that rented the room next to him, as well as the other gentleman that's next to him, they both made a complaint about chanting. He had tarot cards, a bunch of different tarot cards and symbols with horns on his door. They said it made them feel uncomfortable. One of them was extremely Catholic, so she asked us if we could ask him to take them down. We told him that in his lease it said that he couldn't like paint the walls or put any symbols up on his door. So we said, could you just abide by that and take it down? We never like said, oh, you're a devil worshiper. But I said, you know, you're making other people uncomfortable. You have the right to put anything you want inside your room, but in the hallway and so on and in the kitchen area, you have to take down all of your icons.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey Levin here. So if a landlord sues a tenant who doesn't pay, and the tenant has mental problems, psychological problems, can the judge take that into account, or should the judge just say, look, I'm just going to deal with money, I'm not going to worry about what's going on with you?
I think it can be taken into account because mental health is an issue, but the landlord prior to renting should do research and reference checks and hold
fair enough.
accountability.
But once it's out, it's out. What do you think?
I'm not sure at this moment. I have no comment on that.
Okay, fair enough. Should the judge be able to kind of take into account the humanity of the situation, or just look, I'm just here for the money?
I'm just here for the money.
I'm just here for the money.
There you go.
So there you go. Okay, going inside the courtroom.
Okay, do you have some icons on the door?
Pictures of tarot cards. That's it.
Anything else?
And personal.
Okay. All right. So the physical pain, according to you, did he ever complain about? I asked you to show me your first complaint that you could prove up. Is that what you handed me here? Okay. So that's June 2018. When was the eviction filed, my dear?
My aunt died in January, and it was filed about a week after, so I would say
so
end
how
of
is
January.
this way before? It's not, right?
I gave you the wrong.
Okay. You know what's bizarre? Are there any other pages to this? There's no date on it. So what date were you trying to show me to prove that it
There
happened
should be
before?
a date that I filled the application out.
Right, that's what I mean. I'll hand it back to you to see if you can find a date, but I've looked through it several times. I do not see a date. But this is a complaint that you filed.
And I have the return
That
receipt that I
says-
sent, that I mailed it as well.
You have what?
I have the return receipt that I sent, that's,
Right, I just wonder why the form, you didn't write the form. I'm wondering why the form doesn't have a place for a date. It says, I have suffered stress, and who are you writing it to? The Consumer Frauds and Protection Bureau. I have suffered stress, anxiety, depression, bullying from not just one co-tenant, but two co-tenants. I was repeatedly told they would remove them. They removed one individual, but continues to allow a co-tenant to use his feces to spew intimidation, as well as use a bullying tactic to get his way. He has dumped garbage on my front door. He has broken the oven and blamed it on me. He broke the bathroom sink and the shower head. He has threatened me. You're talking about a co-tenant.
Yes.
With physical violence. I am disabled. He threatening to beat me outside the house. I cannot defend myself physically. This causes extreme stress, hurt, anxiety, also the construction-related repairs that need to be made. Okay, what were you complaining about construction-related repairs that
my
need to be?
window's never been fixed. I was complaining
But
actually
but
about
there's not a word about that here. There's just all this stuff about a
Right.
co-tenant that bothers you.
At the time, I wasn't aware that I could make a second page. I thought I only had that space.
Had you stopped paying rent at this point?
No.
Okay.
When
did you stop paying rent? A year and a half ago, according to you?
They stopped taking my rent. I didn't stop paying. They stopped taking my rent.
Right, yeah, because there's an eviction case. If they take your rent, it means that they can't continue to evict you. The eviction case gets
stopped
dropped.
taking my rent
Of course, you
and
don't
then
expect an
started the
eviction case
case.
to take a year, but I don't know why it would take half a year for you to go to eviction court if it's as he says, or much less why you would take 3 years to go to eviction court if it's how you say, or 2 years to go to eviction court. That's insanity.
Yeah.
I don't get that. But in any event, let's discuss is there anything else you want to give me some I haven't asked my question yet. Do you want to give me some psychiatrist report about the psychological, emotional torture that you have experienced? Do you have a psychologist or a psychiatrist report?
No, I do not.
Do you have any doctor's report about any of the stuff you're complaining about here?
No, I do not.
Okay, so then why shouldn't I see this as exactly what she says it is, which is retaliation for filing an eviction against you?
Due to my physical, one of my issues.
Why do you want to stay there so badly?
I cannot.
Why don't you get out of there?
Cannot,
you have a bunch of social services that should help you get where you need to go. Where
I'm in the process of those.
So why
as
do you want to stay there so badly? Because you don't have to pay rent.
Mm-hmm. Your Honor, I cannot physically.
You can't physically what? What can't you physically do? You physically filed a lawsuit. You went to court to file it. You physically came in my courtroom. You're very eloquent. You're able to. I don't know what physically you can't do. I don't want you to paint a Picasso or the Sistine Chapel or run a marathon. I'm just asking for you to give me a cogent reason why you don't want to leave the place that causes you so much psychological and emotional torture. If you're telling me the truth, you would think that in a year and a half you would figure out a way to get social services to get you out of there if it's so awful. You can't what? Why can't you move?
I am trying to move. I am.
What's stopping you?
I'm having services.
Other places demand rent.
I'm having city services help me out.
I find in favor of the defendant in this case.
So it's a no-go for the plaintiff. Mr. Young, I think the judge simply lost patience with you. Why can't you move out? What makes it impossible, so hard for you to move out?
I'm physically disabled.
Yeah, well, a lot of people are disabled when they move.
I'm
You get a
in the
truck and you get
process
people to
of-
move you out.
I'm in the process of moving as well.
What does that mean?
I'm dealing with the things that I need to do to be in that process
Yeah,
as
but
well.
you've been there a year and a half in this situation. You haven't moved.
But it's a long process as well.
It's hard to understand your case, sir. Sorry, but you lost. Okay, here comes Ms. Lee, the defendant on this case. This is a real mess, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been a long, scary process.
No kidding.
I'm just happy that the judge understood, and that now my grandmother could have some peace about what's going on.
Well, you presented your case very well.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Okay, well, I wish you luck. You know, he says he's trying to get himself out. I don't know. What do you think?
He has until the marshal comes and physically removes him.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so there is help.
Yeah.
Okay, well, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Harvey?
Well, I mean, look, Doug, there are plenty of signs here that the plaintiff is working the system. The defendant was saying, look, can't afford a lawyer. Maybe so, but evictions, if you're a landlord especially, it's not that hard to do, and you can do it without hiring an attorney. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.